Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil.
I'm Julie. A 5-bottle blind on a school night? What are you doing over there?
I am calling off of work tomorrow.
Totally. You know how in the weeds I get with 4. How am I going to do 5?
Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll get through it. And we have to say right off the bat, totally blind. No idea what's in these glasses.
We don't even know if it's bourbon.
No, well, and that's well said because these were given to us by the same person who gave us that crazy Saw game from almost exactly a year ago. So
Yeah.
Brent Pounds, if you haven't seen the game that we did a year ago, I'll put it in the description here.
We didn't do well.
You did better than me. I did absolutely terrible. But this is a Brent Pounds joint. He gave it to us actually when we were passing through Utah ages ago now.
Yeah.
And it is about time we got to this flight. We are so excited. 5 bottles, no idea what they are. So we're just going to get right to it. Nothing to introduce.
Nothing to introduce. I'm excited. We haven't done a blind of this magnitude in a while.
Right. Well, let's see if you finish all 5 tonight. Place your bets on that. All right. On to the nose. Glass number 1.
It smells like Buffalo Trace to me. Just kidding. But
There's some fruit there.
a nice oakiness.
Oak is the first thing I got. Brown sugar, maybe a cherry candy or something like that. It smells great.
Nice and oaky.
How about glass number 2?
Yep.
Similar.
Very similar. I had to dig a little bit, but I get a little bit of cherry in there.
Yeah. Darker brown sugar maybe. Nice oak, not a little muted though. Not as much oak, I don't think.
Right.
Glass 3.
Ooh. Ooh, I like the nose on this one.
Bit of heat here maybe.
I would say these all have similarities. This one to me has a bit of a coconut note to it.
There's something weird there, yeah.
If I had to guess just from these 3 glasses, I'd say they're all from the same distillery, but I feel like in that game we played last year, that's what I said, and I was very wrong.
It's almost like a oaky cotton candy. Glass number 4.
This one, I don't know why, smells aged to me.
Tons of oak, absolutely.
A bit of a shoe polish note to it, but not in a bad way.
Molasses, like a more bitter.
Yeah.
Strange.
I wonder if that's like the shoe polishness that I'm getting, like a
Could
little
be.
bit molasses, just those darker, not bright flavors.
Still cherry in this one.
Yeah.
The theme so far for me is that cherry fruit coming through.
And oak, lots of oak
Yeah,
in
that
these.
too. Glass number 5.
Ooh, it's a lot sweeter.
Yeah, red licorice. Candy sweet. Candy sweet.
I'm gonna need to taste this one to figure it out. It just smells lighter.
Well, I think that's a great idea, and let's taste them all.
Let's get going.
Cheers.
Cheers. It kind of tastes like Buffalo Trace too. Gosh, it has a nice oak to it.
There's something a little bit vegetal here. Do you think bourbon, rye? What do you think?
Oh shoot, they all smelled like bourbon, so that's kind of where I was going. Would he throw us 2 curveballs in a row?
Knowing Brent? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm gonna have to really save my sips here to figure out my A/B testing.
There is a candy sweetness that comes through on the finish, especially the brown sugar coming through on the finish. It seems a little bit complex, whatever it is.
Yeah, if it's aged, I'm missing a bit of the richness, a bit of the thickness that I would want from this.
Yeah.
It drinks a bit thin, but I can see where you're going with that.
Interesting. Who's ready for glass 2?
I'm always ready. Leather and tobacco with cherry. Oh, I like that one.
You're right on the tobacco, but that cherry comes through and absolutely demolishes all the other flavors on the finish.
Agreed. At first, it is those darker, that tobacco flavor, and then that finish is
Ooh.
all out cherry.
This one I think has a little more heat to it. I don't think it coats quite as well. And there is a nice complexity there, except for on the finish. The finish just gets wiped out for me.
This is a mid-palate beauty. The finish does like kind of trail off at some point. The initial sip takes a second to get into, but I do like those mid-palate flavors.
It's interesting too because it's overall a very sweet sip, but there is a bitterness here, and there is a spice that builds.
Yeah.
This one has kind of a lot more spice than the first one, I think.
Oh, yeah. And I agree with you that this one drinks a smidge warmer than glass number 1. It's not
Yeah.
hot or anything. It's just, it feels a little bit like a couple ticks up in the proof point.
Yeah, it's Kentucky hug territory
Yeah.
here, and it does have. I keep saying spice, but it's like pepper, like white pepper or black pepper.
Agreed.
I don't really do a lot of white pepper in this house. I don't know what I taste like, but I would imagine that what I'm getting is probably white pepper. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I like glass number 2. I have some anticipation with my glass number 3 because I got a bit of that coconut nose, and I'm interested to see what this one's going to taste like.
Love coconut.
Oh, it's such a sweet... You said cotton candy, right?
Yeah.
It is kind of a cotton candy nose. It doesn't taste like the nose.
See, I like this one a lot.
This one went a little sour for me.
This one I think is so oak forward, and I love that.
The anticipation was here, and then it kind of went, wow,
You built
on
it
my
up in your
roller
mind.
coaster. Well, maybe, but there was something about the flavors that they were very punctuated on that first second of the sip, and then just kind of fell off for me.
The finish doesn't last forever. You're absolutely right on that. I like what you get from this one, though. It's a real hit of flavor right up front. It is a wash of flavor, even if it does dissipate pretty quickly.
We think this is bourbon, right? Now it's kind of in my head, but it really does taste like bourbon to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stick to 2 sips only for each glass, and I need a third one here because
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but the glass number 3, this first go around, feels forgettable to me.
Well, the anticipation, I get what you're saying because I love the nose on glass 3, and I keep thinking like, oh boy, I'm gonna get a ton of flavor here, and I do, but then it's gone. That's a bummer.
If what we have in common is all age, which from the first 2 could possibly be, this one feels like it needs some work, or it's like past its prime. Like everything's kind of mushed together for me in terms of flavors. Nothing's very pronounced.
Yeah, this is like putting cinnamon on your toast, but forgetting to put the sugar on it. You got if you're gonna do it,
Yeah,
you need
you
the
gotta have
butter,
the mix.
cinnamon, the sugar. You need it all.
Yeah.
This is just kind of like dry toast with cinnamon on top.
I
and it
totally want to
disappears
have
quick.
cinnamon toast now. It's something my dad ate basically every single day
Sure.
for like as I grew up, and I haven't thought about that in like 20 years.
Well, there you go. Nostalgia here on the Bourbon Van. One more thing before we go on to glass 4. You said that one was sour for you. Mm-hmm. The prevailing flavor that kind of built while I was sipping that, it's like a sour cherry. And it's still there. It's still in there. Even though I've drank water, cleansed palate, it's been a minute, it's still there. Not my favorite.
I say sour cherry candies were always kind of fun until they weren't.
Yeah.
Remember those ones you would get at the fairs or whatever? School fairs. It's a nostalgia day.
It's a nostalgia day. Glass number 4.
This one actually tastes like the nose.
Ooh.
It's rare that things really match up one for one. Nose and the palate usually are... There's some similarities, but I actually taste the things that I smelled.
If I didn't know better, and I don't, this reminds me a ton of Russell's 13.
Oh.
A ton. I don't
Little
know that
blueberry?
it's little. Yeah, there's pie crust notes there.
That's funny.
And there's
I was
cherry.
thinking when I was smelling this that it smelled bready.
Yeah. The thing that's throwing me off though is that Russell's Reserve, even though it's 13 years aged, never goes bitter for me, and there's bitterness on here. I don't think it's hot enough, and I don't know that the finish lasts long enough to be a Russell's 13. But that's the impression that I got right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's a Russell's 13 palate.
And I will say that I don't get any of that bitterness, so if that saves your theory, it's very sweet on the finish. It's not a super... None of these have a very long finish to me. This one is very flavorful. I agree. There's a little bit of blueberry in there now.
Yep.
I like that sip.
I think there's a nice dose of oak there on the back of the palate. Not necessarily on the finish, although it's there too, but on the back of the tongue, man, you just get a ton of oak all of a sudden. That's an interesting sip right there.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend a lot more time with it.
I'm not going to rush through this tasting, but I'm very curious. I'm assuming there's some sort of correlation of what's involved here.
I would think so.
And I want to know what it is.
Glass number 5?
Yep. Before I drank this, I was thinking to myself, you know what I like about this? There's no nuttiness. I'm getting nuttiness now in my last glass. I think I projected that into this glass. Here's my thing about these. I feel like they should be richer
Yeah.
and with longer finishes. And all of them, not all of them, but some of them are drinking a little thin, and I wasn't really expecting that. I don't know.
This is an odd glass because it has a ton of oak, but it's weird oak. Like, it reminds me a little bit of some of the toasted stuff that we've had in the past. Not necessarily like a Maker's 46. That's really caramely. This is more of a dry.
Agreed.
There's something here, something not necessarily charred, but there's a toast character to it that is, it's really, I hate to say it, but it's a little bit one note. That's all I'm getting is a toasted oak on here.
And as you were saying that, I said, not really nuttiness, but you're right about like almost like a dry toasted, because my mouth feels dry right now.
Yeah, it coats great.
Yeah.
The first thing that I get on the palate is nice sweetness, but then no fruit, no nothing. It's oak, it's earthiness. The finish lasts. I'm not sure that it's a finish that I like all that much, though. Toasted oak, dry, and I don't really have much else to add to the palate there. I would say long finish, but do I like it?
Right. That's what we're here to find out. So if you watch the channel,
I do.
Oh. Good point. But when we do blinds, I love going the other way.
Yeah.
Just because I think we find so much more flavors. I know what to expect, or at least I think I know what to expect in each glass, and so it's always surprising, and I think that's fun.
Best guess on what these have in common.
I have no... I could get swayed very easily. Like you said age, and I was like, yeah, I could go with that.
Yeah.
I now don't think it's a distillery.
I actually think it's either age or distillery. Because there's a lot of bitterness here, but there's a running theme of cherry sweetness.
I'm going to think about a couple things on the way back. One, I want to really focus on the finish, because I think that could be a differentiator in this matchup. And I do want to think about what they have in common.
Well, let's get to it. Glass number 5.
Yeah. It is very dry.
Yeah.
The finish does last pretty well in this one, though.
Yeah, it's just, I wrote long finish, but meh.
Right. Are we in agreement that these are bourbons?
I think that they're bourbon.
If
There's
these are
one
like...
of them that I suspect might be a rye, but I think they're bourbon.
Okay, if these are like vodka from some crazy distillery out in
Leave it to
Joshua
Brent.
Tree, then...
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Back to glass 4.
There's a stinkiness to this one now.
A stinkiness?
Yeah. It does have a... It tastes... tastes stinky.
Like decaying matter? Like earthiness? What are you thinking?
No, like dirty laundry.
Oh, no. I must like the
Stinky.
funk because I'm going for it.
maybe
This is actually rising quickly to the top for me.
No, it's funny. I really enjoy this one. And I know that sounds bad, but maybe funky is a better word than saying dirty laundry. But, which is totally, funky would be way better.
Yeah.
But as we were getting that sweet blueberry on the way out, now there is a funkiness coming on the way back, but I don't dislike that.
Do you remember those little caramel cubes that you would get at the grocery store? They had cellophane wrapping around them. Just the little squares, little cubes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that on glass number 4 here, particularly on the palate, but also on the finish. That's really satisfying. Even with everything else happening, the consistency there really makes that a nice sip.
I like this one.
All right.
But I will just say, like, you were talking
I
about...
thought we were going to be done there.
I know. You were talking about those caramel, those wrapped candies, those caramel wrapped candies, and the only time I've ever used them was when we would make caramel brownies.
That's the only time anybody used them, I think.
And now I want to make those.
I'm not
But I
stop
don't even
you
know
from
if they
doing
sell
that.
them anymore.
Well, if that's what it takes to get caramel brownies, we'll find them.
I'm bummed out by the finish, but I like the sip in general.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. All right, glass number 2. After coming off of glass 3 that had kind of huge flavors, this one's a little... It's almost muted, but in a really good way.
Agreed. When you said balanced, I was like, oh, yeah, nailed it.
There's nothing sticking out here.
When I saw the glasses in front of me, I was thinking, gosh, I hope I hate 3 of them.
Yeah. How many do you hate?
That didn't happen.
No. I like the vegetal note on this one. It makes it really stand out. It's super unique.
This one tastes different than all the other ones. It could be like baby, toddler, middle-age, teenager, adult, you know, like of the same distillery. But this one originally tasted like the youngling, but it has the best flavor. And if I learned anything from that Old Forester blind we did not long ago, the one that I thought had the most flavor was the $20.
But that one dissipated
80-proofer.
quickly. It had no finish, and this certainly has a finish.
And there's no bitterness on this one. This one is delicious, and hits my palate pretty solid.
That's a very good whiskey. I call it whiskey. I assume it's whiskey. Brent, I hope it's a whiskey.
I like this one. Wow,
Yeah, look at you.
That came from the bottom. I was just thinking, I kind of forgot about that one.
Well, it's easy to do when you have 5 bottles on the table.
So true.
Well, there we go. We went one way, we went the other way. Now we're going to A/B test. We're not going to show you all of that.
Unless there's something funny that happens.
Maybe there will be something funny that happens. And when we come back, we will put these in order and find out what the heck we're drinking. I am ready, and I am excited, and I am confident, and I'm having a great time, and these are good whiskeys. Thank you once again, Brent Pounds.
So you can tell which ones I struggled with.
Yeah.
Those glasses are empty.
They sure are. Most of them seem to be. All right, let's start at the bottom.
Yep.
Who was 5th place for you?
5th place for me.
Should we push them forward at the same time?
Oh, sure.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, good.
Okay. The one-note dry toasted oak fest.
And that's exactly what I said. It was a bit bitter, dry, toasted. It did have a nice finish on this one,
Yeah.
but overall I was like...
Nice finish, but it wasn't a finish that I liked.
Yes.
Okay. 4th place for you, and we're gonna figure out what the order of these is, and then we'll figure out what we're drinking.
Yeah. Of course, you probably already know, because I'm sure it's written down.
It'll be a surprise to the rest of us.
Yeah.
4th place in 3, 2, 1. You went glass 3, is that? And I went glass 2.
Yeah, I had to verify my notes as we were pushing forward. So yes, glass 3 is my number 4.
Okay. Why did that go number 4 for you?
I said it was forgettable.
Yeah.
It was a bit disappointing. I was really bummed about the finish, and in the whole scheme of this, that really mattered.
Glass 2 for me had a weirdness on the finish, something that didn't really appeal to me all that much. That's the only reason that it's down there, but it did fall off pretty quickly for me.
Yeah.
Should we do 3rd place?
Yes. I gotta locate that on my grid, but yes. Oh, got it. Yes.
3, 2, 1.
We swapped.
We swapped, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, glass 3 for me. I didn't overly dislike it. It wasn't the flavor profile that I preferred today. Glass 3 could have worked its way up to 2nd on a different day.
I agree. My 1, 2, and 3 could have carouseled around depending on the day. Today, that one just had a little bit of bitterness that the other 2 glasses didn't have. And again, just like the finish in my 4th place, that mattered here because I wasn't getting that in glass 1 and 2.
2nd place in 3, 2,
Wait.
1.
I got. Okay.
2nd place in 3, 2, 1. All right, so we only switched 1 there.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize.
First place is glass number 1. So
That's great.
Glass 4 for me in 2nd. I thought it had great flavors. The only drawback was that it hit me that it was a bit over oaked. I liked it a ton, but the bitterness of the what I think was over oaking stood out a little bit.
Yeah, and I did have it 3 hearts on my notes down here, and
The Julie scale.
The Julie. Yeah. Well, my number 1 had 4 hearts, so this one went down to 3.
My goodness, now you know.
I know, but it did say slight bitter, so I think we agree on that.
What do you think is the tie that binds here? What are you getting from these? Is it proof? Is it age? Is it distillery? Is it type of whiskey?
I actually think the proof is fairly similar on this.
Okay.
I am confused about this one because I could be totally swayed by age, only because age is really tricky for me. Like, I don't like a lot of things that are like super well aged. I don't think those flavors really come through, and I kind of felt that way here. Like, the flavors were solid, but they were almost muddled because maybe they were in the barrel too long or something happened.
A couple of these did strike me that way. I actually think that the theme here is at least distillery and maybe something else. I think that they're bourbon, and at least 3 of these, when I first got the nose or the palate, I went, that's wild turkey.
Oh, great. I love it.
So I think
I'd be so happy if it's wild turkey.
The ones that fell away from greatness. I think that they're all great.
Oh, right. They're delicious.
Yeah, none of these are losers. It's just that in this flight, there were a couple that didn't hang around with the others. They didn't hang tough.
Yeah.
And so let's find out what the heck we're drinking here. We got a photo from Brent, so maybe we'll know exactly what we're sipping here. I don't know. This might take a second to decipher.
So the very first time we sipped the first three, I was like, God, the distillery could be in play here. And I particularly was wrong on what distillery that was. But
you said Buffalo
right.
Trace.
I did. It was not
What do we got?
Wild Turkey.
Ooh, look at those pretty
And
bottles.
this is a beautiful lineup. And I feel like we did pretty well on
You
here.
already know out there, but we just learned that we just tasted a flight of 5 Wild Turkey Master's Keep bottles. We only own one.
Yeah, and it's not one of these. I'm almost positive.
It's... Oh, no. It's actually the glass that finished last for
Oh,
both of us.
no. What a disappointment. Oh, crap.
We apparently own the worst
I was
Master's
going to say,
Keep.
of course the Bourbon Man would own the worst one of the bunch, but whatever. I'm just happy we have one.
I think this is my favorite moment from a video in a long time. As you guys have already figured out, 5th place for both of us was Wild Turkey Master's Keep 1, which features toasted oak, and boy, did we nail that.
Yeah.
4th place and 3rd place, we switched. So 4th place for me was glass 2. For you
was 3.
was 3. Let's talk about glass 2 real quick. What was that?
So glass 2 was the Wild Turkey Revival.
Revival, and that is finished in Oloroso sherry casks, and it's 101 proof. That's a very interesting whiskey, and even though it fell off in this flight for me, if I just sat with a glass of that, I really think that I would like that whiskey.
Yeah, it's the top 3 that I'm really interested in.
Well, that was number 3 for you.
Yeah.
So let's figure out
It's true.
what finished my 3rd Wild Turkey Decades, and I don't know much about this one. It was an oak bomb for starters. Had a
My notes are not here right now, so I can't confirm or deny what I've said in this video.
We did say that it had a quick finish and that it had the sour cherries on it.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting whiskey, actually. And again, big flavors. This flight, 5 glasses that were all so huge flavor-wise.
Yeah.
All right, I got to get to the next one.
Can I also say, Brent Pounds, what a beautiful
Come on, Brent Pounds.
selection here.
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
Lucky guy over there.
But look how he flexes on us, too, in the background. King of Kentucky, Eagle Rare, Double Eagle, very rare. He's got a Boss Hog 8 sitting around back there.
You
No
are
big deal.
YouTube fantastic. I love it.
No big deal. All right, 2nd place for both of us. Master's Keep, bottled in bond,
Nice.
aged 17 years. We said there was a ton of bitterness, that it was a ton of well-aged oak bitterness.
I'm almost positive the first comment I said was, this taste aged to me.
I've been saying it for a long time. You're really impressive. And there you go. There's proof.
There you go.
Proof positive.
Boom!
But I will say this about it. Super well balanced with a ton of delicious fruit
Yeah.
sweetness. I said off the bat, that reminded me of Russell's 13. So there you go. If you're wondering what Russell's 13 would taste like if it was Russell's 17, I think we might have a pretty good idea.
Yeah. I went back and forth. Obviously, my 2 glasses are empty in the 1 and 4th position.
We went the same way. kinda.
Yeah, and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Again, the age doesn't really do it for me. It's more about the flavors, and that's why glass number 1 won.
I completely agree. There you go. I can't say it better than that. Glass number 1, let's find out what it was.
1894. I don't even know what these are.
Hang on, this is crazy because 1894 and it's 90 proof. I don't know anything about this whiskey. It'll be on the bottom of the screen throughout this video, obviously.
I also want to say that glass number 1 was the one that I said drank thin. And that I'm afraid that it's like super low proof, but I love it because of the flavors. And it is only 90 proof.
That's fascinating. I wonder what the
Fascinating.
age of this one is, and I'm wondering out loud, but you'll have seen it on the bottom of the screen throughout this video. Wow.
This
Okay.
was amazing. Brent
What a
Pounds,
flight.
You're the man.
You're the man. The Master's Keep line is something else, and Wild Turkey in general, something else.
And what I'm really excited about is that it was actually bourbon and not rum.
How about that? Yeah, if you haven't seen the game, go back, visit it right now. Check it out in the description of this video. And what else is there to say? This was such a fun night. Thank you so much to Brent Pounds for the samples. Thank
So
you to
sweet.
all of you for watching and from wherever we are.
To wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers.
He's so thoughtful.
So nice. This is amazing.
Remember when you got to hold his cat?